All right, so I'm excited about today's channeling, about connecting with all the little fairy gnomes, leprechauns, trolls. Just want to set the intention to get the most beautiful, highest information and transmission from the collectives to help guide us right now for where we're at on this trajectory of ascension. We're just going to align our energies. We're connecting to this huge, beautiful pyramid of light. The pyramid almost looks like this summit with this beautiful snow capped on top of it energy that's just going around us and crisp and renewed and realigned and just connecting us to our higher selves, ourselves from the future as ascended masters, the angelics, anyone who wants to connect in for the highest message of all. So, Ceirra, I want to ask you, are you feeling anything around you?
I feel, have you ever heard of the machine elves when you do ayahuasca?
No. Tell me about these elves.
Okay, so I've never done ayahuasca, but a lot of people say that they have the same experience where they see the same type of elves, and they call them the machine elves that come to people all the time, and they see the same type of being. Um, to me personally, it looks almost like it almost looks like they have jester hats. Like it almost looks like there's like a Harley Quinn that looks more kind of like an elf, and then there's like the male version of that, and they're just sitting there like this.
Just kind of like going nodding from side to side. Now, that's who you're connecting with now.
Yeah, so I feel a lot of the elementals, but they came in first.
Do they have anything they want to share with us before we get started down this journey?
Usually people connect to them through ayahuasca, but there are other ways to connect to them. They're saying they're actually a type of elemental that people are connected to when they do ayahuasca. And that's why so many people see the same type of being. And that's why so many people see these elves when they do ayahuasca, is because they're actually seeing a type of elemental. And these type of elementals are kind of here to they they feel like the Joker. Like it feels like they're here to kind of throw things back into your face because ayahuasca is very intense. So if there's something that you're struggling with, it's almost like they'll show that to you in a very condescending way, and then they'll laugh about it. Like they'll be like, "Look, you were angry at this. Ha 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 ha. Like how silly, how funny. Why would you even be mad about that?" They're very good at like showing you reality and almost like throwing it back into your face, but it's all for a higher purpose for you to see how sometimes we attach to these things in our reality, um, and how we can break free from our attachments.
But what if we respond to them with like, but you don't understand how hard it is to human? What do they say to that about their jokester?
That they are here to take you to the next layer of your darkness. So if you want to try and play the victim when you do ayahuasca, then they're just going to take you even deeper into that darkness of where that victim mindset comes from. That's why you have to be so prepared to go on a ayahuasca journey, and that's why you have to be in the right state of mind to have that experience. That's why you shouldn't take ayahuasca you should take ayahuasca seriously, because it's a very deep, deep emotional journey, and they're going to show you exactly what your deepest, darkest fears are, and they're going to show you where those fears are coming from. But that's also why it's so tremendously healing.
Absolutely. And I think the fact that it comes from Earth is a huge one. And, we won't go down the ayahuasca journey rabbit hole too much, but I do want to ask a couple questions. And that's why has it been brought forth to humanity, the collective's consciousness, so much right now?
because it's a beautiful way to heal the darkest parts of you, to put together the parts of your subconscious mind that you've been blocking out because you felt like it was too hard for you to deal with. This is a way for you to face it so that you can integrate it and heal it. This is why it takes it could take up to weeks sometimes to integrate your ayahuasca journey because you're truly taken to different depths of your soul and to your subconscious programming. And the I just I feel like I don't know if I have a relationship with the ayahuasca elves, but I connect to them so deeply because I understand their personality. Like, I feel like they're a part of that darkness that is just like, here we are, you can't hide from us. And they are very good at putting humor into it. And I just love their energy and everything about them.
Is that a huge testament to where you're at in your journey? Like to show you how far you've come?
Absolutely. And then my Vedic astrology chart is full of Scorpio. And so they carry like that Scorpio energy of like, let's dive deep into these emotions so we can figure out where they're coming from.
That's really interesting. Um, Now I have heard a lot about elementals and beings of the elemental frequency, whether it's fairies or trolls or gnomes, that they can be quite aggressive. Now, what can you tell us about that? Because that has like, that's not the energy I tap into when I tap into them, but I can understand why they would be protective. But why would they be perceived as aggressive?
Yeah, so it's like anything else. So you have playful fairies, and you have dark fairies. You have more loving trolls, and then you have more aggressive trolls. You have gnomes that are protectors, and you have gnomes that are more aggressive as well. So it's more like, it's just like anything else. Like they're here to work with Earth, but they still have emotions. So they have their own personalities.
Does it have anything to do with the vibration in which we approach them or at which we're at?
Absolutely. So if you want to go and work, especially with the fairies and the gnomes and the trolls, all of the elementals, when you go into the forest, even if you're just sitting on a rock, ask if you can be there because the forest is their home. And no matter where you go, in some way, that is a fairy's home, or it's the space where that troll, that gnome feels safe. So before you go into the forest, set your intentions and say, is it okay if I sit here? Is it okay if I just sit here and be with you? Is it okay if I cherish this sacred space with you and we connect to Gaia together? And then once you ask for that permission, then you can call in the fairies and the elementals to be with you. And you'll see a lot of people go out into the forest trying to connect with fairies and these elementals. And a lot of times they won't come because they haven't asked permission to be there.
Hmm. So I've had on our land up in the mountains, I've actually offered tobacco to the indigenous culture, and I've actually offered weed to the Sasquatch because I know they love to, the laughing plant is what they call it. But what could we offer as an offering to the elementals? What would they like from us to bring as a gift of just being a good neighbor?
They love higher vibrational fruit because they they don't eat it, but they absorb the energies from it. So that's why you'll see, if you want to attract elementals to your garden, plant things like strawberries and plant fruit because they feed off the energy of the fruit and they love it.
Good to know. Good to know because we want to be good neighbors. We want to be like that person that always has something to share with our neighbor. Can we call in the fairy collective and talk to them?
Yeah, absolutely. They're already around us too.
Okay, tell me about their energy. Tell me about what you feel connecting with them.
I love connecting to the fairies because I really connect with them because I laugh so much. So they feel very fluttery around me and they love to laugh. They have that childlike innocence where they like to play.
Do they manifest in a 3D body that we see as something else? Like, do they manifest as like a butterfly or a dragonfly or something else that when we see them with our 3D eyes, that's what they look like, but on the higher realm, they're in their normal fairy bodies?
There are some that are connected in that way. There are some that also manifest themselves as like trees or different kind of plants, they're saying. Um, but yeah, there are some butterflies. It depends on the elemental and like what the elemental is here to work with. So since a lot of the elementals are here to watch over plants and trees, a lot of them share consciousness with those types of plants.
Wow. That's so beautiful. Is their main job to just help with those things, or do they do other things as well?
They're here as protectors and they're here to monitor the energy of the trees, the plants, and then they're also just here to work with Gaia and to love and support Gaia. They're really, they just want nature to be in balance with itself, and they want us to find how enchanted our lives can become through nature.
How do they feel about what humanity's done to the earth, the way we build and a lot of the environments that we've destroyed and just how we're going with ascension and everything? Like, do they have any thoughts on that and how they feel?
There are more elementals here because of the ascension. So they have actually called in more elementals to help work with the planet right now while we ascend. So once the elementals get here, then they do struggle, and some of the elementals do become more angry or sad when they just see how some people can disrespect nature in this way. Like I'm seeing a hiker just walking and throwing their trash into nature. That can make these elementals very sad and very angry because they see us disrespecting nature and disrespecting Gaia. And so although a lot of them have volunteered to be here and there's more now than there ever has been, it still makes them really sad sometimes. But they know that it's for a higher and greater good, and they're multidimensional, so they're also able to see, they experience time differently, and they also see that there is a greater plan here at place. The fairies are protectors of children as well. So that's why when we're little, especially like little girls, like they feel so connected to fairies is because they love that childlike innocence and they're here to like protect children and connect them with nature.
So you know in Peter Pan how they say when a baby laughs, a fairy gets its wings? Is that like is there a fairy for each baby? Like are we connected that much that we've forgotten with the elementals, or is that just something that they put in there?
Not all of us have a fairy, but most of us do. Especially especially if we feel connected to nature anyway, then we're all connected to a fairy.
Is
And they
there
also help guide us, and um we can always try to connect with them in nature.
okay, so is there such thing as pixie dust?
Yes, of course. It's another thing where you just have to believe. If anything that you have been told exists when you were younger, and then you grew up and you thought, oh, that was just my imagination, I was making it up, those things don't exist. Those things exist. It's just the fact that you no longer believe in them. But if you can imagine it, it is real. It's the all is mind. It's an actual law of the universe. So the reason you can imagine it is because it exists in the universe.
Beautiful. Right. I'm gonna start reminding myself that in the adventures in nature. Are there any messages that the fairies want to give for humanity at this time before we talk to other collectives?
We invite you to play in nature, to listen to the sounds of nature, to go out into nature with the childlike curiosity. Take yourself back to when you were happiest, when you were 5, 6, or 7, before your conditioning, before your programming. Um, if you're listening to this, we invite you, just take a time when you were younger, when you were a child, when you were playing in the woods, you were playing near a creek, you were playing in water, and you felt that unity with all things, and you could feel the love of nature. You felt like nature was nurturing you and hugging you and playing with you. We've all had those times where we felt like nature was playing with us. And so open yourselves back up to that. Go out into nature and just allow your imagination to go wild. A lot of times, your adult minds will question things that come through, and you'll start asking yourself, are you making it up? But of course you're making it up. We want you to make it up, because the way that you create a new reality is by making one up. All things that you have ever imagined, it had to start in your mind. It had to start in your imagination so that you could create it for yourself. So how can we start imagining and playing with elementals and fairies and bringing back that childlike innocence so that we can ascend to a higher state of being?
Oh, thank you so much, my friends. And I don't think I've ever really, really connected with you guys. So I really appreciate all that you're doing. I appreciate the loving space and the grace that you have for humanity and the destruction that we do. Because we're just trying to get it right. And so we appreciate you guys coming here and holding that higher frequency. Um, I want to call in, and I don't know if they're the same collective. I don't believe they are, but either the gnomes or the trolls.
Um, okay, so I got a picture of a couple things. So I think it's like kind of we can choose where we go. I got a picture of a Smurf with a mushroom, and then I got a picture of kind of like a grumpy troll under in a cave.
I mean, I'm
I
always,
think the trolls are the ones that are a little bit more grumpy.
yeah. Okay, so I want to choose I'm always going to choose the mushrooms. Because I'm always choosing, so so away we go.
Okay, so they're saying that Smurfs are the elementals of mushrooms. So as you were saying earlier, how you asked if like sometimes an elemental manifests as a butterfly or a dragonfly. So Smurfs can actually manifest and are connected to the consciousness of mushrooms.
Why? Okay. So they're all guys except for one girl. What's up with that? Are mushrooms a masculine energy?
A Smurf can be either masculine or feminine. So, but they're saying, okay, so they're saying that the plant itself is the mother because it's a part of Gaia. and it's an actual experience you're going on, but the experience yourself, like the actual mushroom and like what happens during it is the masculine. So mushrooms are actually well balanced.
So the experience is like the masculine driving force.
Yeah.
Wow, I never even thought about it like that.
Yeah, I didn't either. And then
Like,
it's just interesting. It's interesting too, because like when I saw ayahuasca, when I saw the machine elves, like they came in as it looked like the Joker, but there was a boy and a girl.
hmm. So it's the energy of the mushroom. Now, what is it? What its role and its job as far as in nature and on this planet?
Mushrooms are here to love and nurture humanity and to help them grow into the greatest version of themselves. So mushrooms are extremely, what's the word? They are, they will grow anywhere. They will, there are different types of mushrooms for anything. Like there's mushrooms for healing, for eating, for having psychedelic experiences. There's so much benefit that comes out from different kinds of mushrooms. So they are so unique depending on the type of mesh mushroom that you're looking for. But then they're also very resilient. So mushrooms are actually here as our teachers and to lead us to higher frequencies because mushrooms are multidimensional and they hold a very high frequency.
Now, the version of the manifestation, the gnomes, how do they do that?
The gnomes are very connected to, they're saying the rocks, the dirt, more to like the earth, like the, I'm just asking what the difference is between trolls and gnomes.
They're like one's happy, one's grumpy.
Gnomes will watch over areas, whereas like trolls are the actual guards for those areas. That's what they're showing me. So that's why, isn't there a story about like a troll that's guarding a cave or something?
A a bridge.
Okay, yeah. So it says that the trolls are the actual guards, and then the gnomes take care of the space. So it's almost like I got a picture of a gnome like raking leaves and watering plants. And the gnomes are a lot happier, most of them. Like they said, they all have their own personalities, but trolls are more of like the guards, so that it's harder for us to get into these enchanted places.
I've seen in pictures of like forests where there's like mushroom rings and on the like it's big circles, right? The mushrooms are just creating a circle and on the inside nothing grows. Maybe a little bit of grass, but nothing like that's on the rest of the floor of the forest is growing in it. It's like almost like there's a dome over this space and it's like a portal. What can you tell us about when they create spaces like that? Should we avoid them? Should we respect them and just not like approach those areas? Like what do we need to know about that?
Those are very sacred places to these elementals. So, yes, we just ask that you respect them, you cherish them. You can stand outside of them and send love to them and be thankful for them. They are, it's almost like it's grounding higher dimensional energy to nature. And they've set these up in specific places in nature to help work with these frequencies. So yeah, would they just ask that we please respect them?
So anytime we're in nature and we see something that feel like, oh, that looks like a special little place. We should just respect it and not try to invade it. Or like you said, ask permission. But I almost feel like I don't want to be in their space. I mean, that's just me personally. I want to let them have their we've already invaded so much. I want to let them have their place. But that's just me personally. Um,
Yeah, and
yeah.
just listen to your heart because we're all divinely connected. And so if there's just a big rock that you want to go sit on, then that's completely fine. You can ask permission and call in the fairies. But like you said, if there's a place where it actually looks like something ritualistic, ceremonial, like it has a purpose, then yes, we ask that you just respect it and maybe you go somewhere else to call in the fairies. And then when you would talk to them, then you could ask them about it and be like, hey, is that something cool you want to show me? And maybe the fairies will be like, yeah, friend, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do they put like I like to around our property put rings of rocks around interconnected around the base of the trees. Like why do they have those fairy rings and those elemental rings that they like to put around the trees? Because I just feel like it's them channeling through me.
It's to connect easier to the consciousness of the tree. It's helping ground the consciousness of the tree. And somehow it's incorporating the element of fire
Hmm.
because I heard a ring of fire.
Is it like protective?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a raven outside of my window that's going crazy right now, and I'm going to let the raven just see on this transmission if it wants to. Like I feel like it's very connected. Um, but so I just wanted to let you know what that noise was. But the so it's very protective in the ring of fire. That actually makes sense. Like almost protecting
Yeah,
the
it's like protecting the consciousness of the tree.
Mhm. Mm, so pretty. Do the gnomes have anything they want to share? I want to actually move on to the trolls and just talk to them a little bit too, but I wanted to give the gnomes an opportunity to, if they have any messages for us. The trolls not want to talk to us.
No, the gnomes are just making me laugh. Um, so I got a picture of a gnome and he has his like little water pail and he's watering the flower and he's just saying that like remember you are the beautiful flower and make sure you water yourself and you give yourself sunlight so that you can blossom into the beautiful flower that you're meant to be. Make sure that you work with the seasons, you flow with the seasons, you go through your own rebirth stages, and there will be times where it feels like you're dying. There will be times where you feel like you've been birthed again into a beautiful new day, into a beautiful new being, and just know that there's so much opportunity for growth when you connect to nature and you listen to your truest state of being, because your truest state of being is nature. When you listen to that and you get in touch with that, when you feel gratitude for that every day, that is how your flower blossoms and becomes so beautiful.
Aw, thank you. And thank you. It's spring here in California. So thank you for all the hard work you guys are doing here and the beautiful flowers and trees and life we get to see. It's very refreshing, especially after winter. Um, so
Yeah.
can we call in your friends, the trolls? Our friends, the trolls?
Yeah, he just feels he has his arms crossed. He feels more grumpy.
Okay, my friend, why are you so grumpy? Share with us. We probably can understand it. I just want to give you an opportunity to share.
They are the ones that get a lot more angry when people don't respect nature. They feel have very deep feelings and emotions, actually. So they're the ones that are actually like depressed and upset, especially if there are places that they're sent to guard for specific reasons. When human beings come in and tear it apart, it almost like tears their soul apart. Like that's how deeply they feel these things. And so being here on Earth is actually a little bit more traumatic for trolls. And that's why a lot of them are more aggressive of the elementals.
I can understand. Do they know that we are kind of have a veil of forgetfulness when we come here and like we don't understand that we become our programming?
They understand, but it's still very hard for them to see that perspective when they feel so deeply. And when they see it more as like, why can't we see that we are nature? Like, if we were born on Earth and we're made up of Earth, why is it so hard for us to see that we are nature, and why is it so hard for us to respect it?
Yeah, I can understand. I mean, there's no excuse for it, right? But it's all about the experience we're having to come back to self. And what can humanity do? What can we individually do when we're connecting with nature? And what can we do to help you heal in a way that we're honoring nature and showing you that we're ready for the task of respecting our surroundings and respecting the greater of all in nature?
To realize that there are more types of beings around you than you realize that you've ever been told. So just opening up to your multi-dimensional nature. So it's one thing if like somebody goes out into the forest and they do something on accident that they didn't mean to do, but they're still trying to like live in a very harmonious way with nature. They still respect nature. It's a lot different for that person to accidentally like step on their home or accidentally walk into an area they're not supposed to, than somebody just completely unconscious that is like throwing their trash everywhere, or even like they're showing me the rainforests that are being destroyed. They're saying that just the awareness of it, like they're happy to even just speak today because a lot of people just have never even been raised with this kind of awareness, other than the people that have had specific experiences, most likely when they were children, with fairies and these different types of elementals. But for the most part, it's just being consciously aware of your surroundings and being aware that you're multidimensional and that your actions have a greater impact on just you and just what your solar senses are feeling around you. So you have a greater impact than what you're just seeing with your own eyes or feeling in your own environment. There are different states of consciousness around you that you are going to be able to tap into soon. But at this point, we just ask that you walk into nature with love and respect. That's all that we can ask for.
I love that. I did hear once that because I wanted to connect more with Sasquatch and just really be able to tap into channeling their energy. And I did hear once that, like, in a channeling from their collective, that if you want to do that, start picking up trash. When you're walking through nature, start picking up trash, start showing that you are kind of worthy and that you respect the vessel of Gaia, you respect the vessel of self, that you're kind of that honorary deserving to connect. Is there anything that we can do of that nature to help heal the wounds of our connection with Earth and maybe help heal for you guys and show that we're ready and also just to connect more with elementals. Is there anything we can do on that level?
Yeah, it's a beautiful place to start. So, going out, respecting nature, cleaning up the trash, and then just relaying this message. Just if you see other people throwing their trash, being like, hey, don't do that. Like, you don't have to be like, hey, fairies live there. But just be like, hey, why are you doing that? We just ask that you help relay this message on. It's crazy because it's like I can feel the sadness inside of them. Like it feels like I became very calm and melancholy.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, what kind of healing can we ask and use our free will to ask for some healing for their collective while we're here, whatever that may look like, just to bring them a higher state of frequency and just an understanding that humanity's getting to ascension. We're getting there. We're getting it. We're breaking the cycle. Like maybe that'll help cheer them up if they can see that.
They're saying that trolls actually weren't meant to be a part of the elementals of Earth. That they are part of fifth dimensional Gaia, but they weren't a part of third dimensional because they do feel so deeply. They usually don't come down this low, but they asked the trolls to be here because there has been so much destruction to nature. So they needed guardians of nature that would help them watch over nature, and the trolls are the best at what they do. So that's why they hurt so deeply, is because they're not used to being at such a low frequency, and they're so divinely connected to nature that when things happen to nature, it truly hurts them as well.